you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Hey everyone, it's time for Puzzle Talk, the geocaching puzzle podcast brought to you by the Geocache Talk Network. Here are your hosts for tonight, Charles Watkins and Tom Brotherman. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Howdy.
Howdy. Supposed to say howdy.
Howdy.
Got a big show, really big shoe tonight. Really big shoe. We got a lot to cover in this one. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Before we do, of course, we got to get right into the news. We'll start with Tom. Tom's going to tell us a little about what's going on Tuesday.
If it's not your normal day off, you haven't scheduled vacation yet, then you need to call in sick with anal glaucoma. That's where you can't. That's where you don't see your butt going into work.
There you
Tuesday,
go.
you need to go find 2 caches so you can get the 22222 souvenir. I'm sure It's got a different name, but that's how I know it.
We think that you need to have 2, right? Is that what the thought is?
You
have to have 2.
Okay.
You have to have 2 on Tuesday. So, and they can be in any 2 traditionals. It could be a adventure lab and an event and a regular geocache.
No, not from this bunch. No.
Or it could be 2 events. So
right.
Or it should be 2 puzzles.
Yeah.
You know,
Any
I'm
2.
hosting an event here in
cool.
Phoenix at a taco shop. So
nice.
You know,
is it going to be at 2 p.m., 2:22 p.m.?
No, there are people that got to work in this world.
I have we have friends of the family, and they decided to get married on Tuesday, but not till 4 p.m. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you missed a perfect opportunity. You went to all the trouble, right? Come on, you went to all the trouble to have your wedding on 2/22, or depending on what part of the world you're in, it's 22/22 if you put the day before the month. But I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if you're gonna go that far, you got to knuckle down. You got to triple down. You got to go for the wedding needs to be at 2:22 p.m. Come on. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right?
What would it be? 10:22 p.m.
That'd be 22:22.
Yeah.
In a 24-hour clock system.
24-hour clock. Yep. Anyway, so
go get you 2 events on Tuesday, and you'll get the souvenir for that. So
right, absolutely. Trisha says she's got one event to attend, so she just has to go find a cache after that, and you're good to go. Just finding a way. That's 14:22. You can do it in the morning. 02:22, like 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, I guess you're right. That's so.
Yeah, 14:22 to be 2:22 in the afternoon.
Right. Glad everybody's along for the ride. Darren, good day, everybody. Good day from. It's Monday for Darren. He is in Australia.
So since he's ahead, does Charles still feel like crap tomorrow?
Probably. He doesn't feel well,
Probably.
so we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it through tonight.
Oh, it's just allergies. I got puffy eyes and have been sinus headache.
So that's not the Botox.
No.
Botox. Scottsdale. Pizza Ninja. It is Pizza Sunday, so there you go. Pizza Ninja here from New York, Missouri. So
why is it Missouri when there's not an E at the end? There's an I.
No misery.
Shouldn't it be
Missouri?
Missouri.
And,
yeah. See, nobody gets it right. From where we're at, it's Missouri, and then they get mad at you for saying that because it's Missouri, but it's spelled Missouri. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Oh, Seabeck tries. They're having an event at 2 a.m. There you go. That's a lackey doing that too. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Mini Mags here. Good deal. Houston, Texas, Dave. Yeah, he's going New York style pizza because he's in New York. All right, cool. Let's get to some news. I already hit the bumper for that. So let's get into the next item, which is I want to mention about the new path tag real quick. So Force Awakens, I saw them in the chat room. They're the ones that designed it. This was part of the GTN path tag project that we did, and they look, I think, fantastic. So there it is. There's the path tag. It looks cool to me. It's got all the shows.
Yeah, that's really good.
Gadget Talk, Geocaching with Kids, Puzzle Talk down there, Challenge Talk. The middle one is Geocache Talk, and then the bottom part is Cache Fest, which really isn't. It's just kind of related since we're kind of involved in that. So that's why that's Missouri down there at the bottom. In case you're wondering, it's got the famous bridge and all the different parts there. So yeah, it's a very cool looking path tag. The back of it. In case you're making path tags anytime soon, please use our back for Cache Fest, Worldwide Cache Fest. That is whenever you do a back, then they get money, and we can then, because we're gonna have to buy path tags for Cache Fest. So that's a really big. So instead of just putting the generic, if you have one you want to use, that's fine. But if you don't have one that you normally use, if you just use the generic path tag one, it doesn't cost anything. Just use that back, or maybe it does. I think it's cheap, isn't it, Tom, for the people to use that?
Yeah, they're cheap.
Yeah, it's extra nickel or something. But that will really help us a lot. So Kim's saying they're having an event at 22-22. I'm taking a 2-2. Oh, smart. Late night bakery.
Nice.
I love it. On a Tuesday. That makes me even cracks me up even more. So all right. On to the next item. Go ahead.
Can you buy day old donuts at 2 a.m?
Sure. They're not that old. They're just that day. So
they're not even
really
a day
fresh.
old.
That's right. They could be very fresh at that point, by the way. If they made them at midnight or something.
Ooh. I've got
like
donuts on the brain, and I'm thinking of that place in Denton we went to.
Denton, yes. There's no sign for it. You just go to the back of this
back door
of a steakhouse.
Back door of a 5-store steakhouse, and there's a window there, and they sell donuts from like 11 till they run, or 10, I think, until they run out.
Yeah.
And you got to get there early because the line builds up. Yeah,
you just have to know it's happening. And you don't get a lot of choices, right, Tom? There's only like 2 or 3.
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
The night we went, there was 4.
4, okay. Daryl's asking about how to get them if you're a patron. I will be sending them to all the patrons, regardless of the level that you are. And then that's about it. I don't really give them out. I don't do a lot of new path tag trading. They're really for patrons. We want to show love to them, and $3 a month. It's cheap. I mean, it's important. And Ryan says we just talked about those donuts. So
Gary freeze up. Oh, he's
Is that better
now. Yeah, you were frozen for a second.
That's weird because I'm like right into my router. Anyway, yeah. Please support us on Patreon. It's really important. $3. I mean, if everybody just gave $3, we could, we got bills, unfortunately, and we'd love to bring you guys even more cool items. We're working on a new coin that's going to be unbelievable. It's so incredible that we actually have coin manufacturers who are struggling to get it right, because that's how crazy this coin is. And so it's still in process, but we're going to bring you guys an incredible coin. Those are going to be for $8 and $10 patrons. If you're a $3 or $5 patron, you'll get a drastic discount on purchasing them. And then if we have any left over, we will do that for others. So, all right. Let's move on to, I want to mention about the host hotel. We do have a link. It'll be in the show notes. Make sure we prefer if you would ask if you would click on that and sign in and do your hotel reservation through that link. It really helps us out. We are giving away a customized gadget cache for that. So that'll be great for people. And then Charles, tell us a little bit more about what Puzzle Academy is doing.
Yeah, so we're working on a packet of puzzles that we're going to put together. VIP people for Cache Fest are going to get them in their VIP packets. Don't worry if you're not a VIP. Don't sweat it. They'll be available there at the registration tables and whatnot when you go in and to sign in. And there'll be whatever it costs us to make the packet. So we're not making anything off of the packets. But what we're going to be doing is having somewhere between 6 and a dozen puzzles created that will link and kind of take you through and around a few cool places there in Memphis. We're still working out some of the logistics of it and whatnot, but hopefully it is a fun experience for cachers who show up to Cache Fest. And then during the day that we are having our little academy, we're going to show you and teach you how to solve the puzzles if you haven't solved them already. And then if you're in town through the rest of the weekend and whatnot, you can go and look at the puzzles are all going to take you to a place in town. So something worth trying to look at and go and do and see how that's going to go for us.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, and it's going to be informative. It gives you, it's great for people who are at any level of puzzle caching. If they're just getting started, then this will be a great tutorial. For some that are advanced, then these may be some ideas that you're like, oh, well, I've thought of a lot of different ideas, but I never thought of that one. So that's the idea behind that. So, all right. And then I was able to be the fly on the wall for a Challenge Academy one, and they are also working on stuff, which is funny because they're like, you can't tell the puzzle guys what we're doing. I'm like, okay. Then I turn around and tell the puzzle guys what they do. No. So, but no, they're doing some great stuff too. A little different. They're doing Challenge Academy's got her own. So it's worth doing all the different academies because they are very different. So I think that's a good part of that. So, all right.
Did you tell Jesse what they were doing?
Jesse was there.
Okay, we'll ask Jesse later.
Yeah, ask Jesse.
Then you're off the hook.
That's right. Because he was there. So all right. Let's get into tonight's topic, but we want to start with some discussion about the coin we gave away. We gave away a coin, and we gave away a coin shirt vinyl sticker
Right.
a few weeks ago, right, Charles? And that went really well. I really enjoyed that. So kind of give people an update on that.
So we put a puzzle out on the Puzzle Talk podcast Instagram page. So if you don't follow us on Instagram and you have an Instagram account, hey, go look up Puzzle Talk podcast on Instagram and follow us there. I put out some puzzles and ciphers and things on there for you to work on. Once they've been solved and I give them some time, I break it down and show you how to do that. But we had a couple of guys that went all in, both of them from Georgia. One of them was Brad, and the other one was Arjun. Both of those gentlemen within, and they're both from Georgia, within a couple of hours of each other, both decrypted the puzzle that was posted and put the correct answer to the riddle in the email. And so for that, we sent both of those guys a coin. The guy who came in first, Arjun, we sent him the package with the shirt and whatnot. So was very cool. And they got it, within a couple of days. I posted the puzzles right after our last show, and within a couple of days within a week had an answer for it. So was pretty good. And it goes, what we did there goes right into tonight's show. So let me share this for those who were curious about where this code came from. This is a
comic.
This is the ad that came in the comic book for The Ring, right, from 1948, I believe, is when the so you can see it talks about popsicle kids and in the Nevada Badlands. But if you look at some of this, Popsicle Pete was the mascot for the popsicle brand popsicles. And you could win this cowboy boot that was a ring that had a compass in it, a magnifying glass, and there's a scrolled up piece of paper in the top of the boot. And then for you to get it, you had to send in.
So cool.
You had to send in so many popsicle wrappers along to this address, right, as proof of purchase. And they would send you a copy of this thing. Now, this is what the boot actually looks like in real life. This is a picture of one where a auction group had a really pristine one still and was selling it. So there's your compass, magnifying glass. You can see the hole down there. It had room in the boot for a few things. And then there is the cowboy ring secret code, right?
Yes.
So I happened to just stumble upon this while looking at some other stuff and watching a YouTube video and was like, oh man. And so when we decided to make that cipher code and put it on our Instagram page, I went looking for some older stuff that wasn't on a lot of the new websites. It's not on Cache Sleuth. It wasn't going to be in a geocaching toolbox. It wasn't on any of the main places that we advertise. So I went with it, and it worked.
Yeah.
So, but there is a way to solve the cipher that we put on our Instagram page, which is, let me see if I can share this. This is the cipher that we put on our Instagram. Oh, no, that's a picture of the. I'll get to it in the slideshow. But this is what I used. That's what the paper ends up looking like. But there's a way to solve that, and we'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But
Darren's like, he couldn't work it out, but it's like, we're going to show you how you could have possibly worked it out.
Yep, I'm going to show you how you could have solved this in as little as only knowing 2 letters if you had some other information. But we'll get to that here in just a second.
Yeah. Which will actually lead into our discussion about the Batman tonight as well, because it's directly tied, which is crazy that the two are tied together, but they are.
Yeah, they really are real close. So let's go through some of the Batman stuff, and then we'll actually use our code to show people how to decipher the Batman stuff.
Right.
And then it'll kind of bring it back around. So
sure. You want to show the card then?
Well, yeah, let's show some of this. If you have been living sheltered and haven't been watching TV, or you haven't been out to a movie theater, or you haven't been out and about and looking at what's happening in the outside world, there's a new Batman movie that comes out in March.
Yeah, March 4th, I think, right.
They are bringing back the character, the Riddler.
Yep.
And in this, it's a from the previews, it's dark.
The
Riddler comes back looking a lot like the Zodiac.
Yeah, it looks like the Zodiac killer.
And in fact, in talking in interviews that was done with the director, he straight up said, "I've been fascinated with him," and they pulled a bunch of stuff from the Zodiac killer into this new character as they're spinning him. But it's funny that if you went back to the early days of DC Comics, of the early Batmans, there were several villains in the DC Comics series for Batman that revolved around Zodiac symbols and Zodiac signs. There was Dr. Zodiac, there was Mr. Z, and the Riddler referenced a lot of Zodiac stuff. So DC Comics and Batman have a long kind of, all the way back into the 40s and 50s, this long history with Zodiac symbols or Zodiac puzzles and Zodiac bad guys, right? And so for the director to come out and pull that into this movie as dark as he did, or at least as dark as it appears from the preview so far, it's gonna be something fun. So in that, there are several different riddles that are showed either through promotional material, stuff that's at movie theaters, signage, posters, trailers, whatnots, and so if you haven't seen some of this stuff, we're going to show you some of it. So, don't get too upset here if
Few
it
spoilers, I
spoils
guess.
some of it for you.
And just for any legal thing, we are not implying in any way that anybody involved with DC Comics or the movies or whatever we're involved with the Zodiac killer or
No.
any other killers of any sort.
No.
Thanks for that plug,
Although you never saw them in the same room, maybe.
We don't know.
So this is one of
I don't know if you want to start with the. You want to start with the card? No, we do that later.
Yeah, we start with the card. So
Start with the card.
In the movie or in one of the trailers, this card comes mailed to them. And on the left side, what you can't really see, it says, "What does a liar do when he's dead?"
Right.
Right.
And they give you a cipher.
And then down here on the right-hand side is this cipher text that you're not exactly sure what it is, but if you look at it, it's got several repeating characters in it.
Right.
It's not a lot of text,
correct,
which makes it a little harder to decipher, but this one is totally solvable if you take a couple of steps for it to work through the process.
Correct.
So that same alphabet is the one that shows up in this on this signage for the March 4th trailer.
Yes.
Which is this. You can see it at the bottom. It's that same cipher text. So if you have ciphered or decrypted the one greeting card that's in the trailer, then you have the alphabet to decode the rest of this as well.
Right.
So
yeah, that's something that I know, and we've kind of talked about, but I think it's something that we want to talk about tonight, which is you could create a puzzle cache with a series of symbols that nobody'd ever seen before. You can just make them up. But if you leave enough breadcrumb within that cipher text, then you can take that and you could put it out there. And people, it's something that it's a good tool, if you're making puzzles or if you're trying to solve puzzles. And that's the point of Puzzle Talk, is to give you those tools. And that is, you might be able then you make your own. And if you leave enough breadcrumbs behind, there's ways to do it. Charles is going to talk about how you would go about that.
So in talking to the two people who solved our puzzles, I got a response from one, from Brad, and he said, "This is how I solved it, right? Plain and simple, no beating around the bush." He said, "This is it. This is what took me. This is how I would solve one of these that's just like that." And so I built a PowerPoint slide to walk us through some of this. And we're going to share it here real quick. So here we go. This is how to solve unknown text ciphers, right? So for something that you have, like like this, right? First, you have to have an encoded message. This is the cipher that I put on our Instagram page, right? We're going to follow one of Tom's favorite rules. Tom, what's your favorite rule when working with one of these?
Get a beer.
Well, get yourself one. Give yourself some working room, right?
Give yourself yes.
Tom always complains that people don't leave spaces in the middle for you to write your letters out.
Right.
I like that. You got to set it up good there.
Right. So we set it up so that you can do this, right? And then you have to assign every symbol a letter, right? And you just start at the top and you say A, and then you find all of the symbols that are the same as A, and you mark those as A as well, right? So the first letter on the second block is A, and then you go through the whole alphabet. And if you go through this and you come to the end, you'll notice, if you know anything about frequency analysis, that this symbol right here which is the circle with the X drawn through it, shows up as, we have assigned it the letter K, right? But it is also the letter that shows up the most, right? So it shows up 4 times in this. The letter D shows up 3 times, and there's a couple of other letters that show up 3 times. But what is the number 1 used letter in the English language alphabet?
Ooh,
Tom?
E.
It's the letter E, right?
Correct.
So if you knew nothing else out of this, and you knew that E was the number 1 used letter in the alphabet, and you assigned each one of these Ks the letter E, and you knew that the second most frequently used letter in the English alphabet was T, right? And you use that in substitute for our letters D. I will show you at the very end how you can solve this if you had a couple of other hints with only 2 letters.
Yes.
All right, so you take this alphabet that you get in these 3 lines and you take it to a cipher text solver, right? In this is the decode.fr, and then you hit the button to change it to English, but decode.fr, and you put it in the solver just like it does. It's going to assign it right here a random alphabet, right? And all you need to do is hit the decrypt button down here at the bottom.
Don't hit it yet. So before you go any farther, I did not work on this puzzle at all. I don't know the answer at all or anything, but from what we had just seen and my quick glance at it, I'm going to say the letter B is H.
Okay.
One thing that,
well, if you hit this decrypt button right now, this is what it's going to give you, right? Now,
and you're like disappointed. You're like, it's gobbledygook.
Right. It's gobbledygook. But what most people don't realize is that this section of the this second line down here that's lighter colored, this alphabet is, you can manipulate it, right?
That is cool.
Right. So you can go in and change whatever letter you want so that it represents the correct letter in the alphabet for you.
Right.
Now, most riddles start off with a few keywords: why, how,
who,
what, who, right? So there's riddles start with unless you're the guy who's going to St. Ives who met a man with 7 wives, right? Unless you're that guy,
right?
Most riddles start off with like a plethora of these 5 or 6 keywords. Right. So if you just randomly guessed at one of these keywords, you can manipulate this alphabet right here at the beginning, right? And so if you manipulate it and you said that this riddle is going to start with the word what, right? And you clear all the other letters and you start typing in that A, B, C, D, because those are the first 4 characters in the ciphertext are W-H-A-T, right? You can see down here on this, in the second grouping of words, it's already started to fill in some letters. Now, what did we say a minute ago? The most frequently used letter in the English language was what?
E.
E. And we assign that to the letter K, right?
K. Letter K.
So if you put an E in here and an E in here, you have W-E-A-T-H-E. You can pretty much assume that L is going to be R, because what were all of our puzzle caches based off of on our last show?
Weather,
right? All of our puzzles that we talked about on last month's show were all weather-based puzzles.
Correct. Yep.
Right? So you can type in and assume that K is E and L is R and use weather. But even if you didn't have that, right? If all you knew was what, and you wanted to run down that rabbit hole, you go in and finish filling out the rest of your alphabet up here at the top with starting, you already have an A, so your next blank spot would be B, C, D, E, F, G. You skip H because it is assigned to letter B, right? And you finish the alphabet all through Q. Now, you don't have to go the rest of the way through the alphabet because you have assigned a coded letter to everything down here in the bottom, right? So you don't need to finish your alphabet. as you do that, if you hit decrypt again, it's going to give you this. Well, that's still a bunch of gobbledygook, right?
True.
That doesn't help you any. And it didn't solve it. Well, decode.fr is very good at a lot of things, but this is one of the weaker sides to this webpage, right? But if you copy this text that it outputs, word, letter for letter, and space for space, and you took it to a different website that we have talked about before that is specifically designed to do this type of puzzle, right? It will solve it almost instantly for you. And that puzzle, that website is Quip.
Quip. What a great name.
Right? So you then have right here inputted the site, the text that came out of decode.fr, right?
Right.
Now,
Gotcha.
you want to use what equals what right here. This is important, right? Because this tells Quip that WHAT is correct and that it doesn't need to solve for it. Right? And when you put what equals what and you hit the decode button on this, in less than 3 seconds, the fourth answer that it comes up with is, what kind of weather do cupcakes like? Which is what the cipher text said.
I love that it's a riddle inside of a cipher. So it's like, it doesn't give you an answer. It gives you have to have the site, you have to decode it just to get the riddle. Then you have to answer the riddle.
And then you have to answer the riddle. Well, we got a plethora of answers. Frosty or Frosty was one that we got.
Icing or something, maybe.
There was an icing, but sprinkles was the answer we were looking for. And both those gentlemen, Brad and Arjun, both got it right and sent it in. So what kind of weather do cupcakes like is what it ends up being. So you could run down this same rabbit hole. I see what Jeff says. You could run down this rabbit hole with the question why, right? Or the word why or how. That you can run down all of those rabbit holes at the beginning, and in the end, you're not going to come up with something reasonable, right? So
but you could do what Jeff says, which is you could leave that out and just go down. You could continue down Quip, which he mentioned earlier. Yeah, Jeff's like, we jumped the gun. It's like, all right, it's okay. We're with you. We're with you, buddy. It's fine.
But it's best to give the cipher tools as much knowledge as you can, right? So if you took that very same text and broke it into its words, right? This is where I was talking about. You can solve this only knowing 2 letters, right? But in that, you also have to know some word breakdown, right? Which you don't get in the original cipher text, right? You just got 3 lines of text. But if you broke it into individual words and you only knew that K equals E and D equaled T, in less than 2 seconds, the number one answer that it popped up was, what kind of weather do cupcakes like?
Wow.
Right. So it's in this, you have to know a couple of word breakdowns. If you knew that, then it dramatically increases the accuracy of it being solved correctly. That's part of the hard part with this. The Batman stuff that they got is some of it on the card. He only gives you 2 lines of cipher text, right? And he doesn't break it into individual words. It's just 2 lines of cipher text. At least in the second thing that we showed you, which was it's a copy of
this one here.
Yeah, that one. So that one is a copy of the bottom of a poster for that. And in this, you can see where they've broken it down into words, right?
Yes,
So
which
he's
helps.
giving you
Very helpful.
spaces, right? So that's helpful, especially with the other the card, um, because now you can sit there and say, all right, well, these groupings of letters made a word. So if you can see similar groupings of letters, then you can start to um, assume, right? And that's the hard part about this is you have to make some assumptions and run down those rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And none of this stuff ever gets solved. None of the actual Zodiac killer stuff ever got solved without people making assumptions and then testing those assumptions, right?
Yeah.
Same way with this, in watching some of this stuff for solving some of this stuff in the new Batman movie, they're not going to be able to make some of those get to the end process without making some assumptions. And some of them are going to be wrong and they're going to be time consuming errors. But at least you now know what it's not, right? So it's puzzle solving like this is not always easy. It took these guys that did it several days to solve that one and get an answer to me. So it's it's just one of those things. But you can totally use this same thing that we just showed you for this. If you copy and pasted these letter or these cipher symbols out of the bottom of this card and then assigned each one of them a letter, right? And then run through that A, B, C, D, B, E, E, F, D, C, C, right? If you ran that back through the exact same process that we just worked through, I guarantee you, you will get to the correct answer.
Yeah. In fact, you have to read it. And if you do that, I suggest that you do that for fun, is to take those letters we gave you, the A, B, C, D, B, E, E, F, D, C, C, and try it. And you get you'll get he lies still, but you get it. It'll, because you don't know the breakdown, because you don't know there's a third word. It looks like two words because at this point you don't know if you're just trying to solve. All you know from the ciphers that it has two lines. You don't know that it's three words yet, but you can start to break it down. And that's one thing too that we know in the English language. One of the clues that you got to kind of think about when you're either solving puzzles or creating them.
I love this.
Is that the symbols, especially the one at the end, repeats itself.
Right. And so what is the number huge. One? It is huge. So what is the number one repeating letter in the English language that ends words?
It's either S or L.
S or L, right?
Is
L.
It L? It's okay. L, right? So you sit there and look at it: mall, fall, small.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of all of these. Still, fill, there's a whole host of words that all end in that double L, and it is the most frequently used double ending letter in the English language for words. So if you took that and knew that these two letters at the very end are L's, that makes the third letter in the top line an L as well.
Yes. So now you got one another letters. You got,
So then you start, but if, so knowing some of the, and that's the fun of cryptography. And it goes back, there's been an American Cryptological Association in this country since like the 40s, 30s, probably. So, we're coming up on 100 years, if not more, of an American Cryptography Association, and that was their bread and butter, right? That is those people did this stuff for fun, and that's where we learned that, oh, hey, there's these double letters, or this is they spent hours of research figuring out that E is the most commonly used single letter in the English language.
Yep.
Right.
I want to point out, though, we keep saying English. So if we were doing this in French or German or Martian or anything else,
absolutely,
and the size of the alphabet was different, if it was 24 letters or 36, whatever, these same kind of rules that apply that we're looking at, it might be different letters. We might not be looking for E's. Martian Q might be the most repeating letter, but that's what you'd be looking for, and you'd look for the double letter kind of stuff, or maybe theirs has triple letter, whatever. But the same kind of frequency stuff applies.
Right.
Yeah, it matters. It really does, and that's what it's single substitution. Though I see Jeff mocking it. Look at single substitution. There's still single substitution. What we're things ciphertexts out there that have never been solved, right? And when you sit there and look at some of it, it all has to do with, there's a whole host of other things that go into single substitution ciphers that can manipulate the text, even though it's still only a single substitution cipher, right? So
purposely misspelled words or additional letters,
or if you're hand making a cipher and you mess up a letter and that throws everything else in the ciphertext off by one letter. It's happened because we did a show about the Zodiac Killer and where he made a mistake, but it's not all of his stuff was single substitution, but he had to get around the single substitution stuff and frequency analysis. He went to double and triple characters standing for certain letters, but in that he also held steadfast to a very particular pattern, and you can show that when this pattern shows up time after time after time in several of his ciphertext stuff that's been decrypted, you can go back and look and you're like, oh yeah, here's this pattern, and here it is again, and here it is again, right? And so though they are creatures of trying to manipulate stuff, they also have to have a set of rules that bind them. Otherwise, the person who's on the other side to this is never going to be able to decrypt it. So
think of the Enigma cipher and how many bazillion different combinations there are to that. And they figured it out because they knew that what they were repeating at the beginning of every message.
Right.
Yes, that, and also no letter went to itself. They figured that out pretty early on. So in Enigma cipher, never, the wire never came back to the A. So you could kind of then at least, again, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but if you can eliminate one letter of the alphabet, that's pretty big. But yeah, you're right. They'd start with the weather, didn't they? Was that the thing they would do?
Start with the weather.
So tools for this, and we gave you quip.com, right? Decode.fr. There's where we were at was decode.fr/monoalphabetic -substitution. It's going to be in the show notes.
Yeah. Because there's an EN in there somewhere to make it English.
Right. And then there's boxingtrig.com. I haven't done a whole lot of work in that, but that is a good website for doing puzzle cracking like this, along with rumkin.com.
Rumkin is always mentioned. It's also mentioned. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Rumkin's got a good frequency analysis thing in it. That's the first puzzle tool that I ever used was Rumkin.
Yeah, that's a really good one. They're all in the show notes. We've also got, we're not going down that rabbit hole tonight, but there is a couple of YouTube videos I put in the show notes. One of them, though, was interesting because it does tie the real Zodiac Killer. When they started to analyze what some of the things he was putting in there, and that was that it appeared that he had a lot of knowledge of comic books and a lot of knowledge about the DC comic books, especially the Batman ones. So
graphic novels.
yeah,
Yes,
graphic
they were
novels was
graphic
big.
novels.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Don't take
so
me off, man.
well, and it's funny, Tom, you probably know, and it's, most people that are my age in their early to mid 40s and older probably know this. I asked my son and my daughter both what the DC in DC Comics stood for. Had no clue. Had no clue. Had no clue. Let's see if somebody in the chat room knows what does the DC in DC Comics stand for.
We'll give them a minute while we're letting them work that little puzzle out.
And don't be Googling the answer.
Don't be Googling it. Just if you know the answer, provide it. It's no big deal. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that. So again, we've got some notes. We got some tools. Direwolf being funny. A lot of people know who Dick Clark is, but hopefully people know who Dick Clark is. Very famous.
I've seen a lot of puzzles based on his
American
countdown.
Bandstand.
Yeah.
Oh, his countdown. Yeah. All right. Did you want to show this one too? You want to kind of go through You want to go through this one?
Yeah. So, once
I'll show the completed one when you're done. Yeah.
If you have decoded the card, right? If you've gone through the process and decoded the card, then you have the most of the cipher text out there, right? And so here's what you ended up with.
A card.
Each symbol for a letter and whatnot. So there we go.
Brad got it.
Yep. Brad, Owen from KC, right behind
Owen got
him.
it.
Yep. So it did stand for Detective Comics. And that kind of will play into something that we'll show here at the end for some other people. There's a huge resource for puzzle making. But if you solved the puzzle from the card and you had your alphabet, you can decipher what this says. And this says, you are El Rata Alata.
Correct.
For that, El Rata Alata. Tom, what is that? What language is that, Tom?
It looks like Spanish to me.
Correct.
So, Gary, what does El Rata Alata translate to?
It translates to winged rat, which if you think of a bat, it kind of is like a winged rat. Probably not correct biology wise, but it looks like a winged rat. It could be, I don't know.
So the fun thing about this is
the
that
genus
even
or the species.
Even with single substitution ciphers like this, right? You solved this and you got URL Rata Alata. But there's a play on words here. Yeah,
I didn't notice that either. You look
at
it.
There's a play on words with this.
See if
URL.
the URL, which I didn't think about. I saw that, so I mentioned it.
Right. So if you went to www.rataalata.com.
Yeah, people can go there anytime they want. And it brings up this page. Let me drop this off of here. So there's the page.
That's right.
You can bring it up, and we haven't done this page yet. I haven't done it the second time. I think the second one has a different set of questions. But if you go to that website, it's in the show notes. You can go check it out too. But go to the website. We'll do it together. So it comes up and says, "Look what the bat dragged in. What do you say we play a little game?" And it's a very simple website, but still kind of fun. It looks really old school. So
Very
let me put
Matrix-ish.
it is. Let me put a Y in. Here we go. 3 right answers and justice will be reward. When I fall, I rise. Though I'm not human, some say I have a heart. So there's your riddle, folks. Let's start with that one.
I know that one.
When I fall, I rise. Though I'm not human, some say I have a heart. So we'll see if the chat room has some ideas on this one. Yeah, you are, Jeff. You're correct. Very similar to the Why So Serious promo. Yeah, for Batman's. Yeah, back in the. Yeah, stepping back into the ARG realm. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. So Direwolf guessed river. Should I put that in? Do we want to try that one? Nope. See, the funny thing was it knew I left the website and came back because it says you scour the internet for the truth, but you still need to answer to me. I love that. So we want to try river. Oh, no good. You're mistaken. Lucky for you, I'll give you another chance. Darkness. Somebody mentioned darkness. Is that worth a shot? We'll give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Your mind works in exceedingly intelligent ways. Here's another. I'm Greek. I'm Latin. I'm 500 years old. I speak in riddles. What? Oh, sorry. What am I? I'm Greek. I'm Latin. I'm 500 years old. I speak in riddles. What am I?
And the word has been used on the show tonight.
Oh, really? Interesting. See, no, I left. I clicked over to StreamYard to come back. It goes, searching for the answer. Are we? Cheaters aren't always reveal themselves. I think that's funny. So one of y'all have to give me, so I don't go. I won't look like I'm cheating. Give me a, somebody read me an answer.
Y'all cheat for us.
Yeah, you tell us what to put in. What do y'all think? I'm Greek. I'm Latin. I'm 500 years old. I speak in riddles. What am I? That's an interesting one. Speak in riddles. I don't have a clue. My brain's starting to shut down for the weekend. Do we have an answer? You guys want to give me an idea of a guess?
I can tell you it's not in the chat room yet.
Okay. Charles is laughing at something. I'm Greek. I'm Latin. Language? I'm 500 years old. I don't know.
Google's your friend, people.
Yeah, Google would be your friend in this case because that's a good one. I'm not familiar with that one. 500 century, 505 centuries. Speaking riddles, there's an oracle, spoken riddles.
Yeah, but it's a word. I said it's a word we've used in the show earlier.
Okay. Greek. I'm Greek. I'm Latin. How is it that it's both Greek and Latin? Give us a kind of a clue, Tom. What are we looking for?
Well, Darren is half right. Well, I mean, he's right, but he's got to do some more with his answer there.
What did Darren put? I'm on the website. I want to.
He put RAVTZN, which is not going to give you the right answer there if you plug it in like that.
Right, but if you were Pisces or a Capricorn or right, started with a Z.
No.
Oh, we don't think it's zodiac.
I know where he got his answer. I know how they code the answers at that site so that they don't just pop out at you. So you got to do something with that answer to make it the right answer. And it's something really simple to do to it.
Is it a Caesar cipher?
Yep.
Did y'all, I assume everybody kind of watched, at least, well, not everybody. Tom probably did, but I watched the Super Bowl, and I also love the commercials. So I get a combo of great commercials and great football game. But there was one that had, did you see the one with that had Caesar and he's pushing his salad? And
Brad got it. There it is.
Brad got it.
All right, what is it?
Enigma.
Which makes sense for the truth does not evade you. Try another and see what you uncover. Giving you this would be giving you the answer. Giving you this would be giving you the answer. Giving you this.
This was a classic board game from the 80s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's even older than that, but yeah.
Risk?
Nope.
It's another 4-letter word, though.
Giving
Think about
you
it.
This.
What do we have on every geocache page? Some cache owners use it down at the bottom, some don't.
Oh, a hint? Giving you a hint to give you the answer?
But a hint's not the answer we're looking for. It's another. There you go.
There we go.
Texas, Dave got it. It's a clue.
Oh, a clue. Type it correctly. Clue. When shadows fall, the truth rises. You are correct. You've bested my game. Now I'll let you in on a little secret. Click for reward. Our game ends here, but I'll return when chaos rules. If you click, and I need to probably stop sharing that one, and then I'll go share this one. Let me share this screen, and we'll be wrapped up with this. We don't want the rest of the night on this, but so you end up with this if you do it. You get a so you get that. Yeah, get a piece of paper or a newspaper thing. So I don't know if you go down in here, you could probably go search a little bit and see. There might be clues in here somewhere. Gives you the weather. Frost at night. Oh, Mr. Freeze. Yet another image of Gotham's famed Cape Crusader has been released by the GCPD. Full story 345. Which is funny because that's March 4th, 3-4 is correct. I don't know about the 5 part, but anyway. Cool. All right. Hope y'all enjoyed that part of it. It was kind of fun. All righty. What's funny too, I told Charles beforehand that I tried to use a standard puzzle solving tool that we've all talked about. And that is, let's see if there's any clues in the source code of El Ratalata's website. And so I went there. And here's what I got. I got that. Nice try. You won't find anything here. I thought that's pretty funny that somebody went because like Charles said, they're going to know we're going to go search, at least people that know what they're looking for. And so I went and searched, and sure enough, there wasn't anything there, but it made me chuckle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one last thing to leave y'all with. Tonight we'll just share. I'm going to share this real quick.
Yeah.
It is the Flynn's Weekly Detective Fiction Magazine.
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah, if you ever get your hands on some of that.
So Flynn's Detective Weekly Magazine started in 1924, and it ran a weekly episode of these, what are we calling them, Tom? Graphic novels?
Graphic novels.
Right. It ran all the way until like 32 or 33, something like that.
It went a long time.
Let's see, 34. There was a break in here. Maybe it ran till 38. But there ended up being a break for a couple of years, and then it came back, right? So, you know, it didn't run a full year in 1943, and it ran just 8 different episode magazine editions in 44, and then it came back in 51, and then it never recovered from some of that. But if you sit there and look at these were the very early. This is what evolved into a lot of the DC comics, and they all started as these detective weekly fictional detective deals, and each one of these has some kind of cipher or code that has to get broken in it. There's a lot of good, if you want some really, really early code breaking stuff or cipher stuff that may be out there. It's out there in print somewhere. Pulling up some of these the Flynn's weekly detective magazines and reading through some of them is a really cool way to get some of this stuff done.
Lot, and a lot of them is we've talked about, and you go look at them. A lot of them are sort of common today, as far as in cipher realm, the cipher world, cipher fans or puzzle cache fans. But you'd be surprised. There's a lot of them in there that aren't found anywhere. So you talk about a treasure trove of possible puzzle caches that are out there in those Flynn's that you would drive some people bonkers, because there would be some real head scratchers out there for people, because literally there are some out there. I've looked around. I mean, there may be somewhere, but they're not on Cache Sleuth yet. They're not on your Rumpkins or your toolboxes that we're tend to go to. So I was surprised. I really thought that was neat, and we need to bring some of those back. I mean, those are some really cool puzzles that are out there.
Well, and I'm working on some of that with the with our Instagram page. If you're sitting there trying to figure out that last puzzle that I have created that has those random letters, and you need to have random holes put in it. I pulled that out of I pulled this cipher right here, and how to make it and create it and use it out of a Flynn's Weekly Detective magazine from December 5th of 1925.
Wow. That's incredible. That's awesome.
It just so happens that there was a really good write-up in there. We're actually, my plan is to use some of these Weekly Detective magazines, get some of these ciphers, put them on our Instagram page, publish them out, and then do a show on solving these out of this.
I like it.
Flynn's Weekly Detective magazines, and showing you how to do that. But for the one that I just posted, if you haven't been able to figure out where the secret location is, and we got one person who's emailed me the correct answer for the secret location for where Bullfrog needs to go. If you looked at this Flynn's Weekly Detective from December 5th of 1925,
right,
it shows you right there how to solve it and make them. I'll let you go read that on your own. But there's a link to all of this stuff that's going to be in our show notes. So it'll be up in a day or so. Whatnot, but go in there, check out the show notes. We do have some YouTube video stuff at the very bottom of the show notes that are a super fun rabbit hole to run down.
Very true.
And some of them will kind of hook you into something else and into something else. And before you know it, it's freaking midnight on a Sunday before you need to go back to work and you haven't drank your Ovaltine.
Sounds like that's what Charles did. He went down the rabbit. In fact, you watched one a couple times, didn't you? Because you're like, this is so good.
I've watched one of those episodes now, and in fact, one of these YouTube video links is where I found the cowboy boot cipher.
Yeah,
and so I'm assuming is one of these the
yeah, it's the comic book. Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, in fact, they talk about the hobo one, and they said that the hobo code was similar, and so but then they showed the thing about the comic book and the boot, and
so if you watch the Let's Crack Zodiac episode, whatever, episode 12, right, episode 12 is the one that we have linked in there. It's the very first link at the bottom of the show notes. That thing, if you watch all the way to the end of it, you're gonna sit there and be like, man, I need to go watch some of these other episodes. And I've gone back. I've watched that episode 12, whatever it is, 6 or 7 times, and I catch new stuff in the background every time. So
it's so good.
For some of you that are wanting to do some puzzles and whatnot, this guy's website, and he's a member of the ACA, the American Cryptological Association. He's been invited to go and speak with the FBI and the CIA and at yearly conventions for amateur cryptographers. So he's a wealth of knowledge. He runs a business, but does this as like a hobby on the side, which most cryptography people do. But he's got a YouTube channel that he dedicated to trying to crack the Zodiac, and he goes through a lot of the early stuff that's already been decrypted, how it got decrypted. I'm in like episode 7, I think. I whipped back to the beginning of that rabbit hole and decided to go from the surface down and started at episode 1. And there's so much good stuff for all of, for puzzle making and stuff that hasn't been seen, because, the Cryptography Association is not as big now as it was between the end of World War II and, when we were worried about the Russians and everyone was trying to decrypt stuff, and, the Cold War. And after the end of that kind of, it's still a thing, but it's not near as popular as it used to be. But man, those are some fun rabbit holes to run down if you've got a couple of days to spare.
I was gonna say I've been emailing back and forth with him a little bit, trying to get him, coax him onto being on the show. So hopefully, cross your fingers, say a good word for me, because I'm going to keep working on trying to get him to come on the show sometime. So, but
he does some
interesting guy.
Yeah, and he's he's analyzed some of this stuff and looked at it, and I mean, when you're a amateur cryptographer and the FBI and the CIA have both invited you to come and talk, that's probably a good deal. So Check out the show notes. There's a lot of fun information in there at the bottom in those links, as well as some other stuff that we just kind of raised about Zodiac type characters in DC Comics and whatnot over the years. So
definitely
check out the show notes. There's some more information in there, and we'll have to figure out something for a next show that's better than this. Man, this was a good
stuff. Yeah, thank you so much. That was.
I'm gonna add this: if you gotta bribe somebody, make a trade off to go caching somewhere. Maybe you get lucky and one of your trade-offs is go to one of like an antique store, and now you got a reason to go to an antique
store.
Flynn's.
The
Flynn's, or see if you can find that boot, because that'd be pretty darn cool.
God, yes, so true. And if you're coming to Cache Fest and you're gonna, hopefully if you're going to Cache Fest, you're gonna want to do the Puzzle Academy really, they're going to be great. They're going to be a lot of fun, but may never know. You may want to get bone up on a little bit of the Flynn's stuff because that's
You might see
a
it
possibility. You may see it again. You never know. So
Be in with Flynn.
there you go. All right. Good show, guys. Great research. And we'll see everybody next Sunday. I do want to mention, and not completely spilling the beans, because next Sunday we are going to spill the beans, and that is we're going to premiere with the Waysiders. They're going to announce exclusively on Geocache Talk Network what next year's going caching is. So kind of fun to hear what they're going to do for a theme. They've done steampunk, and they've done Roman. They've done, everybody in a pirate. This year was the Roaring 20s, which was kind of fun. But they always have cool themes, and so they're going to come on for the first part, and exclusively on Geocache Talk Network, we're going to spill the beans on what next year's theme is for going caching. So we'll see everybody on Tuesday with Gadget Talk, and then we'll see everybody next Sunday. We're going to also talk about some of the side event information for Cache Fest as well. Give you guys some more info and give you some more updates on that. So looking forward to that.
I don't remember where we out with Gadget Talk with Chad's Cache. What's up this Tuesday?
What is he doing this he's doing, they're working on their Scream gadget, which is really cool. If everybody, if you haven't been watching really that, cool. It's really worth it to go through and see all that, because it's been cool watching them build that. But they're going to do more work on that Scream gadget cache. So come visit and come see us for that on Tuesday. So, all right. Thank you guys. And we will see you next time. Good night.